What's up, everybody? It's another interview edition on the Electric Circus radio show here at MetalMessiahRadio.com. We are your metal music messiah. Okay, with me tonight, I have solo artist Eric, co-founder and former lead vocalist and guitarist of the band WILLOW WISP from Los Angeles, California. Eric has just released a new song, September the 11th, called Warmonger. Warmonger is the follow-up to the first single, Belladonna. Eric is here with us to talk about his solo project. Eric, welcome to the Electric Circus radio show here at MetalMessiahRadio.com. How are you doing, brother?
Yo, doing all right, man. Just doing all right, living the COVID life. That's how we do.
Yeah. So please tell us how you began and how did you get started as a musician? Let's go way back, a little bit of Eric history, please.
Okay. Yeah, all the way back when I was Eric, E-R-I-K, and I was just a little punk kid in high school listening to like Hall & Oates and Journey, and then all of a sudden I went to a concert. My first concert was Ozzy Osbourne at the Bark at the Moon tour, and my first big concert. So I go there, and then J0KeR's. So J0KeR's is what got me wanting to play guitar. When I saw that guitar player, I was just like, oh my god, I gotta be that guy. And I was kind of a nerd in school, so there was a rockers in high school, so I was kind of, I knew who they were and everything, but I always wanted to hang out with them, but I was just always too shy to go up to them. But one of them came up to me and asked if I played guitar. And at the time, I didn't have a guitar on me, but I just lied and said, yeah, I play guitar, even though I didn't play a lick. And the guys that were asking me, they didn't even play their instruments yet either. Like my drummer, who ended up becoming the drummer of WILLOW WISP, he didn't even have a drum set at the time. We just all learned together. So we started our first band in high school. We were Black Mass. Then we changed the name to Crystal Axe. And then we went to Nightmare, and then WILLOW WISP, and then it just went from there from then on. We moved to Hollywood in 1990, and just lived in our car and just kind of like, became the storybook band that moves to Hollywood to try to get a record deal, live in the car, feed off, live off chicks for a while, and we just did that whole cliche thing that most bands do. But we're a little bit different because we stayed in our car longer than most bands. Because we were just kind of too shy to talk to girls. We would just stay in our car for about 6 months before we finally moved into an apartment. Yeah.
So Eric, so please tell us about the new project you got now. You're a solo artist now, and you just released, as I said earlier, Warmonger. Please tell us about it.
Yeah, so basically the past year and a half, maybe 2 years, I've been starting writing a lot. Like, cause I kind of put music on the side for a while because, I'm an alcohol and drug counselor now. And so that kind of took a lot of my time. But my main thing was like, I'm taking advantage of the resources we have. We don't have record labels anymore or corporate radio stations dictating what people need to listen to. And now you just put your music out. And I thought, well, you know what? I want to put some music out. I want to put some new music out. Whether I play live or not, I would like to get I do have a band I'm putting together the guy Tim Trost who plays drums. We're just, and it's called Bloodline of the Revenant, but that's kind of a slow process because of the distance that we live from each other. Yeah. But so I was saying, okay, in the meantime, I'm going to put out some solo music, and so I put out Belladonna, which is more goth because my roots go from like gothic Bauhaus to Cure, but my first love has always been heavy metal because that's what I got into first, and then so I got that going, and I thought, well, I want to do a metal song, and I'm going to do at least 3 or 4 more really good tight metal songs, and that are just traditional metal. Like, there's all these subgenres of thrash and speed and black and death and doom, and I've always just said, well, okay, I just want to be metal, and when you hear it, if anybody hears a song, whatever they think it is, they can put their subgenres or labels onto it, and I've always been that way, even with WILLOW WISP music. I contribute that to a lot of, like, when I was a kid, we did the 12 CDs for a penny, 12 cassettes for a penny because it was cassettes at that time, and I would just pick anything that looked cool. If it was Hall & Oates, and then Judas Priest and AC/DC, and then it was like Men at Work. So I had all these different music that would come through the mail, with a fake name. So I'm already like committing fraud at like 10 years old, 12 years old.
Right. Ordering from Columbia House and getting your cassettes in somebody else's address in their mailbox or something like that.
Yeah. I even used the name Bill Me a lot, and they sent me the cassette of like Bill, and my last name was Me a lot. So they did bill me a lot. So I just never paid it. But I do contribute that to being diverse musically, because like I just had all this different music and I've always been, my main thing has always been about melody. I don't care what style of music it is. If it's got a good melody and a good, if it just moves me in a way, I don't really care what genre it is. I mean, but like I said, but the majority of the stuff I write is going to be pretty much metal based, whether it's thrash, black, or death, or just straight up traditional melodic metal,
Absolutely.
So that's why, and I'm just having fun with it. I'm thinking like, I'm not going to chase trying to be a rock star or nothing like that. I'm just going to put my stuff out there. And wherever the music takes me, that's where it's going to take me. And, I'm 52 now, so maybe my goal is to start playing the arenas at 60. I'll get signed to a major record label at 60 and start playing like Iron Maiden. Those guys are in their 60s and they're still kicking ass, So, but got a long way to go before I can be the next Iron Maiden.
What was the process like? What was the process like on developing the two songs, Belladonna and Warmonger?
So Belladonna started out with, I thought, I was kind of in a gloomy, grim mood, and I picked up my guitar and I said, I got 4 chords going on. I want something in B minor. And then it just kind of started. Once I hit those first 4 chords, the whole song just kind of wrote itself. And it's so weird because I'll think back, like, and I'm not a lyricist, so the lyrics came from my friend Paul Merrill Jr., who I grew up with. He's kind of like my main lyricist. I wrote the lyrics for Warmonger just out of fluke. I was like, okay, well, let me write these lyrics, and those just kind of came natural. But Belladonna, I had already the music and melody, and then I'm shifting through my lyrics that Paul gave me, and I see the song Belladonna. I go, wow, that's kind of a gothic title, maybe it's about this gothic like vampire princess or something. That's what. When I was reading it and singing it and getting the melody down, and then after I got the whole song down, I'm feeling seduced by this character in the song. Right. And then I read his description, and it's really about a flower. It's about the nightshade flower in the Belladonna. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm sitting there singing about a flower. And it's like, but it's kind of cool at the same time, because the nightshade flower is a beautiful flower, but it's deadly at the same time. So I guess when you eat it, or if you eat the berries from it, it can kill you. And I thought, well, that's kind of a cool metaphor for something that's so beautiful yet so deadly.
Who did the cover art?
So myself, I do pretty much my own cover art. I wouldn't say I'm the best on Photoshop, but I get my way around it. I put in a photo, do like this kind of neat little effects, whatever, with paint, with the paintbrush, and so I just kind of do my own artwork. I am working with Daryl Kravitz, who's going to be doing my album cover for when I do my plan is to do a full album and call it Blood Music. And I got Daryl Kravitz, who was a DC Comics writer. He wrote Scooby-Doo back in the early 2000s for Scooby-Doo for DC Comics. But he's a brilliant artist. And so I have him penned to do the cover art for my Blood Music album. And I like his style a lot. And I think he can actually put together a cool concept. Because the idea of blood music is music's always going to be in my blood. So the cover is going to be like music notation written in blood and drippy, kind of, like a composer writing as if he used his blood to write the musical notes down. And I thought, okay, that's going to fit just fine. Yeah.
Please tell us what studio did you what studio do you use to record the two songs?
Okay, so Belladonna was recorded at my house. I just recorded. I've what's called Soundtrap, and I've been playing around with that a lot, and it's where I can just record directly into it, and I can record all my instruments, just mic and my amplifier. So I basically just record that in my living room, and I thought, well, this sounds really good for just my living room. That's why I decided to release it like that, and it's gotten good reception. Which I'm surprised, but even when I hear it, I'm thinking, well, it sounds like I did take it into the studio. I mean, there's a few little flaws in it, could be fixed, but I do plan to re-record it in a big studio. But Warmonger was done in my brother's studio. He has a project called KOFN Underground, and I've been doing music with him as well. I do some guest spots on his songs. Nice. And it's more gothic based, but he has his whole room set up as a recording studio. So Warmonger was kind of like his first project to do as like a metal song, because he's never done metal before. He's always been more gothic and new 80s new wave or dark wave music, and plus he used to be in WILLOW WISP as well. So we're not only are we brothers, but we're also former band.
Please tell us about your gear and the companies that makes your gear, and why do you like those brands of instruments and any Pro Tools you like using in recording?
So as far as, I don't have a big amplifier setup. I used to have a Marshall 800. Is what I used to play live with WILLOW WISP, but now I just got my Fender Maverick. So I don't really have a big setup. As far as guitars, I've always played cheap guitars up until now. Like I got a Jackson X, the Adrian Smith model, which I used on Warmonger. That was probably the most expensive guitar I bought in a long time. It was like $600. I'm like, but that was my dream guitar. The Donald Trump stimulus check. I was like, okay, come on, Donald, send me that check. Yeah. First thing I bought was that damn guitar. I'm thinking I was trying to pay rent or no, I need a guitar. Like I got rent handled. But so I got the Jackson X guitar. That's like my prize. And then I got a cheap $100 Dean guitar that I really like a lot. I like the feel of it. Because my whole thing was this: it's never been about the guitar, the brand. When I pick up a guitar, if it feels good, I don't care how much it costs or how cheap it is, as long as it sounds good. But it's got to feel good, and it's got to feel like the neck's just gotta I gotta gel with that neck, almost like as if you're meeting a person for the first time and you get that good rapport going with the person. That's how I am with the guitar. And so the Dean guitar, even though it was only like $100 used, it feels really good and it sounds really great. And my Jackson is good as well. Except for when I got the Jackson, it's got a little bit of a buzz in the pickup, so I gotta get that fixed. But other than that, it's a nice guitar. Adrian Smith is one of my all-time favorite guitar players from Iron Maiden, and so it's just. That was like kind of like, oh, I gotta have that guitar, just from, and I made sure I played Iron Maiden on it when I first got it. So,
Eric, have you approached any record labels, or has any record labels had any interest in you so far?
Not yet. I've been just kind of waiting to get 2 or 3 more songs done as far as metal style songs. And then I'm going to start hitting up Relapse Records. I would like to be on Relapse. I like a lot of the bands that are on there. Like I love Miraker, and then also like Seasons of Mist, which but they're kind of more black metal. So I don't know. Like the weird thing about me is I'll have a song I might do a thrash song next. I was just working on a black metal song the other day because I came across this really nice black metal drum beat, and I was like, oh shit! I started coming up with these really killer riffs. So I'm thinking but I don't want to be too different from each other. I gotta have some kind of consistency as far as the sound. But but like I said, once I put together about 4 or 5 good songs, then I'll start shopping to Relapse and Nuclear Blast is also a great label that I wouldn't mind being on Century Media, labels like that. But and maybe some even more independents. We used to be on an independent label with WILLOW WISP. We were on Full Moon Productions and at that time, that label was pure black metal. Whereas WILLOW WISP, we had just black metal influences, but we also had gothic and everything else. We wore makeup. And so when we got signed to that label, the purists they were giving us death threats. They were sending death threats to the guy who ran the label, all kinds of shit. Even though we sold almost 4,000 CDs worldwide, but he just I got to drop you guys, man. I'm getting too much. This is too crazy. Yeah, we understand. So it was just weird how that audience reacted to it. They're saying, "Oh, you guys are like Cradle of Filth," and Cradle of Filth ripoffs, and Cradle of Filth sucks. I guess Cradle of Filth is considered like the Bon Jovi of black metal because they're commercial for them, I guess. And it's just they gave us $10,000, and we took that money and we didn't know that whole $10,000 was supposed to be also used for touring. We spent most of it on the recording of the album, but from a lot of those bands were on that label. Well, they would get the money and blow it on partying and booze, and then they'd spend $200 on the recording, and then the shit sound like crap. And I'm like, we want to actually sound good. I guess because we sounded good, I guess that sucks for them or something. I guess it's weird.
Okay, weird Eric, crowd. Let's take a break. Let's play the new song "Warmonger," which has been just released on September the 11th. Please tell us about that song.
Yeah, so Warmonger, I had a really cool drum beat, and next thing I'm coming up with this riff. It's very Iron Maiden inspired. I've even had some people say, "I know, man, it's a little too close to 2 minutes to midnight." But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's inspired by that riff, but it's definitely not the same riff. Just like 2 minutes to midnight is almost the same riff as Ritchie Blackmore's Burn. But in that aspect. So I like to say it's more of an homage. I'm paying homage to like a lot of the bands that I grew up on, which is Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Deep Purple, and then some of the newer bands like the 69 Eyes. The way that I love the way that singer sings, and I love their melodies. So in a way, it's my way of paying homage to a lot of those bands by just having a song like that. And I always wanted to write like an anthem-y sounding song, which I'd never done before. Mm-hmm. So, and I just felt like, okay, this is it. And once I had that drum beat and that first riff, everything else just kind of wrote itself. And it was at the time when they were chasing that dog Conan chased that terrorist into the cave, and then that guy blew himself up, the Abu or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that inspired part of the lyrics, the part where like, you sick your dogs on the bearded man. Abu explodes his vest, screams Allah till the end. So that inspired that part. So once I wrote that line, I was like, and everything else just kind of fell into place. And I really can't recall how I even did it. Like I always do that. Like I'll write something that I think is really great, and then I'll try to remember like, well, what did you do to do that, or how'd you even come? What was the process? And I just don't remember. Just like it just comes out of nowhere.
Right.
Because when I plan to write stuff, it never comes out right. Like if I sit down and say, I'm gonna write this particular song like this or whatever, I could never get it. Just something's got to click. Something's got to happen organically. And then everything else falls into place, and that's just kind of my process. But yeah, so Warmonger, it's about warmongers obviously obsessed with war, and war is more important than diplomacy, regardless of the loss of lives and innocent lives. A lot of people die, even civilians. So it's that whole kind of talking about that as far as the way the warmongers, their greed for oil and money and profit, as in contracts, like the Blackwater. Guys who contract, who do the secret ops and stuff like this. It's all about the money for them, and not so much about human life, So I guess it's kind of political in a sense.
Okay, everybody, we're going to play the brand new track by Eric, Warmonger, here on Metal Messiah Radio and the Electric Circus, and we will be right back with Eric. Crank it up!
Destroying some lives tonight. You don't know what it's like to fight. Soldiers laying down.
metal friends. Welcome back to Metal Messiah Radio and the Electric Circus. We're back with Eric. So, Eric, what is your favorite part about this line of work, being a musician and being in a band?
A lot of it is, well, just the creative process of it, or just it's an outlet for me because, being an addict, I suffered from alcoholism and meth addiction for 25 years when I was in WILLOW WISP. I pretty much done not every drug under the sun, but I did a lot of damage to myself. And a lot of it was, back when I was doing meth, I felt like, I'm creating these killer riffs and everything feels good. But then it got to a point where like all I cared about was getting high and not creating music. So now that I'm sober, I got like almost 9 years sobriety. When I create music now, it just feels so much better, so much more aligning, and it's such a great outlet. Being in a band, I haven't been in a band, in a full band in a while. Like I said, I'm putting together a band, hopefully start playing out in 2021. But it's been a while since I've actually gelled with actual band members, other than my drummer, who I'm playing with now, that Tim Trost, who was in a few punk bands. And like I said, we have Bloodline of the Revenant we're working on, which sounds like a metalcore name. I we were talking about metalcore. I was like, well, I don't know. I got to rethink that name because that sounds kind of metalcore-ish.
Right.
Bloodline of the Revenant. But we'll entertain that idea later. But so just being on stage. I miss being on stage. It's been a while. Stage used to be like my getaway. Like it was like, here's Eric on the ground, and then here's Eric on stage, and it's just that feeling you get. Just something takes over where you're just a completely different person,
right? And
it's just fun and it's thrilling, and you don't know what's going to happen next or whatever. And like I said, my main thing right now is just to put some music out and let it take me where it's going to take me.
Please tell us about some of the bands you guys shared the stage with back in your WILLOW WISP days.
Okay, so we played with Mayhem. We opened for them at the Whiskey Go Go. Electric Hellfire Club, which I think is like a kind of a known metal gothic band from, I'm not too familiar with their music, but Infectious Groove actually opened up for us one time, along with Johnny Van Zant from Lynyrd Skynyrd, which was kind of a weird gig because we were headlining the Whiskey and we couldn't get any local bands to play with us because they didn't want to do pay to play. So the Whiskey at the last minute put these bands on that were coming through town on tour, and it was Johnny Van Zant and Infectious Groove, and so they took the early slots, and it was just a bizarre. I always tell people, Lynyrd Skynyrd opened up for WILLOW WISP. It's like bizarre. And then my last show I played with WILLOW WISP, we did with Dark Funeral, black metal band, at the Key Club. That was pretty cool, but we almost got in a fight with the crew at the end of the night because some girl hurt her hand on my drummer's trash can attic that he does, and the mom wanted to shut the show down before Dark Funeral went on, so the crew wasn't too happy about that. We got in a little bit of a scuffle in the parking lot with them and took off running. It was crazy. Yeah, crazy days of Hollywood, man.
Eric, what do you see yourself? What do you see yourself in the near future and your goals to where you want to be as a musician?
I want to keep recording. I want to keep putting music out. I want to evolve. I want to try different styles. I kind of want to do I've been messing around with some kind of folk music, so I kind of want to maybe do something in that area. And I might do it under my real name, Eric D. Fulmer, as a different artist, just so I can kind of separate it from what I do with the metal and the gothic stuff. But it's hard. Even like 5 years ago, someone asked me, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I always say, well, probably in a better place than where I am right now. And so 5 years from now, I hope to see myself in a better place than I am now. And it's just like, because I'm always reaching and always got my eye on the prize. I'm always reaching my goal, setting my goals really high to where I always say you set your goals extremely high. Never set your goals at eye level, because then you're always just going to be at eye level. If you set your goals so high, you might not reach all the way up to that goal, but you're going to reach a lot further than you were if you were just at eye level. Right. And so that's kind of like where I see myself, just kind of in a better position than where I am now. And
please discuss.
Maybe own a house.
Please discuss with us how you interact and respond to the music and metal fans and social media like Facebook.
On Facebook, I'm very open about I'm very comical, I'm cracking a lot of jokes. I'm always posting trigger stuff about, I'm always pushing my music, plug. I think a lot of my Facebook friends are probably sick of seeing my posts because it's always, hey, check out Eric, check out the new single, check out the new this, check out the new that. I got some new shirts. It's like, you're like, oh my God, here's Eric in the newsfeed again, you know.
Right.
But it's just part of what I love to do. I was just like pushing the brand. It's just like, you know, whether I have 100 people check it out or one person check it out, I have to go in with the attitude that there's 1 million people checking it out, you know, even if there's not. So. Yeah. And I've always been like that on stage. It's like back when we played in Hollywood, it's like our first gig, we had 2 people in the crowd. You know, El Duce from Mentors was one of them, and he was one of our hecklers, but he ended up being a good friend after a while. R.I.P. El Duce. But there would always be 2 people in the crowd, but I always told my drummer and I told everyone else, look, guys, we got to play as if there's 1,000 people in that crowd. We got to perform as if we're playing to 5,000 people, because I hate seeing bands that go on stage and if there's only a few people in the crowd, they act like they're at rehearsal, they turn their back to the crowd, or they just act like they don't want to be there. It's like, no, dude, you gotta bring your game, because that one person that you turn on, they're gonna bring 10 people more back on your next show. They're gonna bring 10 of their friends. Those 10 friends are gonna bring 10 of their friends, right. And that's how you build your audience.
It just builds up like that. Yes.
Yeah, you just gotta go in with your A game, whether there's one person or 1 million people. You know, always be on your A game.
What is your thoughts on the music industry today?
It's different. You know, a lot of people say it's dead. There's no more record labels. There's a lot of good labels still. I mean, yeah, we don't have the whole, like I said, we don't have the $1 million contracts anymore. Like, you know, which is good, because you don't have, if you get signed to a label. Back when Geffen was signing bands, they were like, I have a friend. It was signed to like a $1.7 million contract, and they barely put them on tour. They barely promoted them, and then they dropped them, and then they used it as a tax write-off. And that's what really killed the record industry, was a lot of these labels were signing bands to be similar to what the big bands were doing. Right. And then they would just drop them and then write it off as a tax write-off. And that caught up to them. And that's why it kind of destroyed like A&E Records. I forgot what AME Records or whatever they're called. Some of those labels. But now we got these major independents, like I was saying earlier, like Century Media and Nuclear Blast and all these labels. But I also like the idea that we could, a musician like myself or somebody else can just put their music out, and I can actually discover new music. I can go on Spotify and just type in a name or just look at the whatever the suggestions are, especially on YouTube, right. And just find new bands and new music without having some record label telling me what I should be listening to, or some corporate radio station saying, no, you need to be listening to this band because they're in the top 10 or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's what I do. I go on YouTube and just whatever looks interesting. If they have good looking artwork or cool catchy name or just a name that sticks out, I'll click on it. And a lot of times I end up becoming a fan. I end up checking to see if they got a record. I end up buying the record. And so I think that's what I like about the music industry now, is the fact that that everything is just out there for us to get. You know, nothing is dead. Like a lot of people think it's dead. It's not dead. You just got to dig a little bit, you know, and you just got to put some effort into discovering what the stuff you like to listen to.
I know you like collecting vinyl records, and I've seen on your Facebook you was posting your vinyl collection. Tell us about your vinyl collection.
Yeah, so I got like quite a bit. I started out like, I think it was a year and a half ago. I had a client that I did a favor for, and he thanked me by giving me a Kiss record out of his collection. It was Kiss Rock 'N' Roll Over, and I thought, well, shit, now I got to buy a record player. So I bought a record player. Next thing you know, I'm just freaking buying vinyl after vinyl after vinyl. So I got like about 200 in my collection. What I love about vinyl now, back when I was, you know, a teenager getting records, is now you have this vinyl with like these different colors, and you know, you get like booklets and all these little kind of cool little things with it. You know, so you know, you spend like $40 on a record, but you're gonna get like a lot of stuff with it. You know, like little goodies. You know, right. And so yeah, I got mostly metal in my collection, some goth. You know, maybe I need to get some classic '70s bands or some more diverse music. But you know, just a lot of these like black metal bands and thrash bands and just metal bands. It's like you can't go wrong with them, because they're always gonna put out some really cool ass fucking music. That's one thing I love about thrash music. Bands like Testament and all the bands I even listened to back in the 80s, is that they're still putting out good music. Whereas like Metallica, who used to be the king of thrash, they're like hit or miss every time they put out a record. Whereas like Testament, their last album fucking kicked ass. You know? And it's like, I still jam that shit. Because they're always striving to be better than their last album. Like they're always writing cool riffs and time changes. And that's what I love about like real metal bands, you know, like thrash and speed and black and death, you know, death metal bands, and because they're always trying to blow you away on their next record, you know.
What advice would you have to any up and coming bands?
Do your research, go on the internet, find out your resources, and like I said, stick to who you are, and don't let other people tell you what you need to be like and what you need to do it. Just be yourself, and you got to be honest with yourself. If you know what's working, keep it working. Don't fix whatever's. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But if you know something's broken, then be honest with yourself and fix it, and just keep. Right. If you want to get signed to a major label or to one of these major independent, you just got to play a lot of shows. You're not going to make a lot of money streaming music. Like I said, I streamed like 40,000 streams on my 2 songs, and I think I made about $10, you know. So you're not going to make a lot of money streaming music. But where you make money at, if you want to make money, is merchandise, playing shows, get on festivals whenever you can. But just be true to yourself. That's the number one thing. If you go on stage, play like it's your last show. Play like there's a million people out there, even if there's 10. And get yourself a mailing list. Make sure anytime you play a show live, if there's people in your crowd, make sure you have a girlfriend or a friend or somebody to walk around and put them on a mailing list. And that way you can always email them for updates and all this good stuff. And because there's still a lot of old school tactics that you could use today that we used to use back in the day, which is putting together a mailing list, but you can do it today with the internet. I mean, and now we got playlists, or, you know, get your music on playlists, you know, submit to all these different playlists and just get yourself out there.
And Bandcamp and places like that. Bandcamp
Yep.
and places like that too is good for putting your music.
Yep, Bandcamp. Exactly. Bandcamp, SoundCloud. I just got on Bandcamp. I'm still trying to figure out how to work that thing, navigate it. But but I see a lot of bands do really well on Bandcamp.
Yes, my next question was going to be, please tell us where to buy your music and give a plug on your websites. I know you have merchandise. You just had some T-shirts printed for the people who want to buy a Eric Warmonger T-shirt. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I just put up a Teespring. I know a lot of bands. I see all these guys and artists put up merchandise on this site called Teespring, Teespring. So I got a store there. So if you go to Teespring.stores/air-ik, AIR-IK, then that takes you to my store. And I just have 4 shirts up there right now, a Warmonger one, a To Hell with COVID-19 shirt. I did one of those stay home 2020 tour, whatever. Like I always see those bootleg shirts of Iron Maiden and Kiss doing the stay home tour, and they'll have like dates, and it'll be just like North Carolina, stay home, you know. So I thought, let me do that for myself just for the hell of it. And I got some face masks, for COVID and all that stuff on there. You could get my music on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. You just like AIR-IK, AIR-IK. Just type that in. I should pop right up. Belladonna's on there. I got a cover of Anti-Lullaby, which is by Karen O. That song was originally heard on the Hannah TV show for Prime Original. Mm-hmm. She gets 9 cents for every song that gets sold on that. So royalties. And then I just, like I said, KOFN Underground. That's my brother's project. I do music with him as well. That's more gothic. So if you look up KOFN Underground, you're going to see our latest single called Into the Night. It's a very somber, cheer, ambient song. Really proud of that, how that came out. And we got some new music coming out on that as well. So, and YouTube, got the Warmonger lyric video on YouTube. So check out AIR-IK on YouTube.
Please tell us how you met Robin. I know you go way back with her, and thanks to her for setting us up with you and me knowing about you and your kick-ass music. Big thanks to Robin for putting me in contact with you. And we go way back from the days of living in Hollywood and the Van Nuys or San Fernando Valley. We met telemarketing because that was our main job. Like when we were in a band, our other job was to do telemarketing because we could actually work till noon and then take off and go tour if we had to, and then come back on our job and still be there and make good money at it. So she was working in the room as well. And so different telemarketing rooms, we just always crossed paths, and just, she's a diehard, she's probably the most metal chick I've ever met in my life. And she's dedicated. She's been to all of our shows, the WILLOW WISP shows. She'd always be there, always supportive. She's just an awesome person all around. And
I wish I could see her again. I miss being in LA and hanging out with her and other friends that I've had down there. But I'm just grateful that we have social media and the internet, that we can actually stay in contact that way. And I can't say enough about Robin. She rocks and all around, and just a totally awesome person.
And at Metal Messiah Radio, she is the reigning queen of promotions with us. We love Robin to death.
Yeah.
She's like the glue, you know.
Yeah. And she's what turned me on to Metal Messiah Radio a long time ago. A few years ago is when she turned me on to it. That's before I was kind of putting out music. At that time, I was doing more comic book stuff. But I got into doing comic book publishing because I'm also an artist, but I haven't drawn in a long time. But I had a small comic book independent publishing that I started with a few guys, and we put out a couple books. And at that time, I was just doing that. But that's how I learned of Metal Messiah Radio, was through Robin. And I didn't know if she was like a DJ at the time, or I guess she just always did promotions for them. And who's the chick the main chick from Metal Messiah? She has the blonde hair. She kind of looks like Dora Pesh. I can't remember her name. I know she's on my Facebook friends. I don't know if she's like the main owner of Metal Messiah, but that's how I came to know Metal Messiah. I always see her picture in the logo or whatever. I always thought she might have been Dora Pesh.
Please give us shout outs to the fans and maybe some new fans to be. What would you like to say to them in closing?
Well, I want to thank everyone so far for putting up with my crazy posts and my nonstop promotion of Eric. And for those of you who check out my music, I thank you so much. And you know, again, like I said, I'm not trying to make a lot of money at this or anything. It's just about me. It's in my blood to just put music out and promote and just have fun with it. For any new fans, just check out my stuff. If you like it, thank you. If you don't like it, that's okay too. You know, I'm cool with that, because music is subjective, art is subjective, and I think but one thing we should all remember is that we should all support each other. Anything that we do, whether it's art, music, or just whatever we do in life, let's just support each other and be there for each other. You know,
absolutely.
We don't have to like everything the same, but you know, I might get turned on by something you like, and it'll turn me on to some music. And I'm always like interested in people turning me on to stuff. You know, it's like I'm always open to check stuff out. You know, and I'm gonna be my own judge, you know, whether I like it or not. You know, so
Eric, it's been an honor and a pleasure. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you on the show with us here tonight. Joker's Electric Circus at MetalMessiahRadio.com. We are your Metal Music Messiah. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule for doing this interview with us, and you're more than welcome to come back on the show and promote something new in the future. How about that?
Yes, I'll definitely be back, man. This is awesome. I love what you do, man. Keep doing this shit, dude. This is the best.